Alright, welcome to the 3 Men in a Trenchcoat podcast. I am hosting today because I lost the roulette spin. Topic today is going to be guns. It's going to be fucking weird. Goes back probably a bit farther than you might think. Anyways, and as with the formal introduction, I am Gabe. This is
Joe. Hi, I'm Joe. That's my name.
I might be Chris.
I think it's like at least 70% of the time. Alright. In order to properly introduce the firearm, I have to go into the history of gunpowder itself.
Uh-oh.
So,
Get out your notes, class.
Alright.
I believe it
Free
goes
up some
back
schedules.
to 10th century China, where the extent of their firearm knowledge was basically fireworks and bombs on a stick. Back in the day, it was less of a commodity to use to kill each other and more of a fun thing.
Oh, this thing goes boom.
Or an intimidation tactic. Because if you grow up, rural town, you don't really get loud explosions like that unless your grain silo explodes because of static electricity. So you go out of the battlefield, you've been trained well, you've got quite a bit of experience, you've been steeled due to your, weeks of training, whatever you got back in 10th century China. And then you see someone come over the horizon with what looks a bit like a flag on a stick. He points it at you, and it makes the loudest noise you've ever fucking heard. And you're like, oh god, he's got more shit than I do. He's got more science.
What is this magic?
What is this? What is that?
Quick side tangent. I know the Japanese used glass bombs, where they would make a glass ornament, fill it with gunpowder, and then detonate it, so when it explodes...
Glass
Frag
sharp glass everywhere. Fucking, the Japanese were fucking crazy, man. They really just stole a bunch of shit, used it to kill the people they stole it from, and only got bit once, and I think that was during, when we dropped the sun on them a couple times.
No, it's fine.
They deserved it, the Japanese rape of Nanking.
Yeah.
But anyways...
To be fair... No, there is no fairness to this. I was going to say, to add on to that, they didn't stop when we dropped the sun on them once. They didn't drop when we nuked them once. They were really gonna continue.
I was really hoping you weren't about to justify the siege of Nanking.
Absolutely not, no. There is nothing that can justify that. I used the incorrect language as a transition. That's why I got 80% on all my English papers.
Maybe Gabe's introduction to weapons will eventually end with a nuclear bomb dropping.
I could. I'd have to write a thesis on that and bring it in next week.
This would be a 3-part episode at minimum.
3-part minimum, 2 hours each, 6-hour Netflix documentary.
Lectures!
Yeah, you gotta pay for this shit anywhere else. It begins in 10th century China. As of right now, gunpowder is just kind of a fun thing used for either fireworks or intimidation on the battlefield. Up until it is refined. As it was brought to other cultures, I don't know, somehow. I haven't done enough research into the ancient bits of gunpowder history.
Trade? I don't know.
Yeah,
People were trading nice bits of colored sea glass for gunpowder, and then they started smoking tobacco around it, and then they weren't around to trade no more.
Just disappeared, engulfed in flames.
But anyways, it had been refined enough to be used for weapons around the 14th century. I think it was either the Germanic or Spanish people that managed to make it into a gun first. I'm surprised it took so long for people to realize that pushing something real good is better than poking someone with a spear.
I forget which one of them did it. I want to say Spain did it.
I also want to say Spain did it.
Because...
Did what now? Invented firearm?
Yeah, it wasn't a firearm. It was stick cannon.
I mean, there's also 11th century Chinese hand cannons that worked pretty similarly. They're just it was just a brass cup.
It was prototype.
Yeah, prototype. It was a brass cup that you pointed at people you didn't like, and then they got a variety of different wounds.
This thing takes 5 minutes to load up, but whoever you fucking pointed at is gonna be good,
Oh no,
man.
it's just a brass cup. You take a handful, dump it in there, take some shit you find in your garden, put that in there too, point it, light it, then the other guy's full of both, I don't know, caterpillars and rocks,
Caterpillars,
lead bits,
rocks.
broken porcelain, whatever it is.
Whatever you got, really.
It's the same with like a pirate's blunderbuss. They'd
God.
just cram shit in there and it would just work.
And I don't know. They did it in
Table scraps,
The Caribbean.
broken plates.
what's the Pirates of the Caribbean. They did it in there. They would, if I'm correct, they would actually, if they wanted to lose weight, they would just put things in the cannons and just fire them on other ships, like silver, forks, knives.
Imagine having someone point a loaded fork at you.
Yeah.
Captain, we've taken on too much weight. Load the cannon.
Load the
Start
cannons.
loading things
Do we
in there.
really need 13 crates of nothing but silver forks? Yes, I need them. They're my grandfather's.
They were a gift.
Fire! Boom!
Yeah, you're sitting on a ship, I don't know,
You just
600,
get
700
an actual
yards.
fork embedded, like all
Yeah.
the way up to the handle into your skull.
Dude, you're just sitting on some ship 500 like yards away, and you just hear a big bang, and then the guy next to you gets speared by about 800 forks. God damn it.
Captain, they've got forks. Load the knives.
This is God's judgment, isn't it? This is what he was talking about. Shit's just gonna rain from the sky. My buddy just got impaled with a bunch of dining implements. God damn it.
We haven't lost
God's
enough weight.
judgment.
Start getting, the bodies out of the
Load Jeremy.
Load Jeremy.
Well, we're supposed to cremate him for his family.
It's
Fuck
a,
his family. We need to lose weight.
it's a relatively Christian burial. He gets sent into the sea, which God created. You know, whatever. It's fine.
He'll be cremated when we burn the other ship down.
Oh, where was I? 14th century.
Hand cannons.
Yeah.
I think it was Spain or Germany that had the handgun first, or the handgunner. It was basically, you had, basically what you said earlier was a cannon on a stick, and you held it like a rocket launcher. You had it right here, you had the stick on your shoulder, and the cannon pretty much directly in front of you. You tilt your head to one side, and whatever it looks like it's going at, it's probably going to go at. And what they used was a variation of black powder known as serpentine powder, where it had this quality where if it was kind of spread out far apart, it would burn slowly, and you could use that as a fuse. And once it was packed tight, it would burn very quickly. So they used that to generally control. They would have a fuse as to when they lit it.
Generally control.
Generally control. It reminds me of like classic cartoons where they have the big barrel gunpowder,
that is the...
and they like leave some of it on the floor and then set the entire barrel down.
Yeah,
That's what I imagine.
Yeah.
basically. That,
Except
but
in real life,
and
that's
Jerry.
much more horrifying.
yeah, especially the smokeless, and it'll just, completely destroy the city block.
Fun.
Anyways,
Wood trap.
the handgun. It was probably the earliest continually produced, or not continually produced. It's probably the only one that you can get a reproduction of right now.
If you skip cannons. Because those are just big guns.
I'm gonna skip cannons.
Because that starts earlier than I would say the hand cannon.
It has to be man portable, and I don't mean for like firefighters can pick it up and move it.
It
I mean,
has to be like holdable in
two
one
pe-
or two hands.
2 people maximum. So
Though one person can operate a cannon, I imagine they cannot carry the cannon.
you would have to be pretty damn stocky.
It's just like
operate
minigun
the
style. You just put like handles on the cannon and pick it up while you have a person behind you loading it.
Fallout 4 naval cannon. Just launches a big ass cannonball like the size of your head. Cannons scare
Double
me.
dog.
Cannons are pretty...
Especially like antique cannons used in the Civil War. Even with body armor, I wouldn't go up against that.
No.
Because either you're standing close enough to where it blows right through you, and you have a basketball-sized hole wherever, or you're standing far enough away to where it doesn't go in, and instead it transfers all of its energy directly into your ribs, and you just die.
your entire body's just crushed.
What I really...
You just get a nice basketball-sized dent right where all your internal organs are.
And if you're lucky, you'll die instantly.
Yeah.
Luckily. But no, it's a civil war. They'll try to keep you alive. Not well, but they'll do it anyway.
Modern medicine does not exist yet. They're just going to poke at your bits a little bit until you die.
That's how we figured out how digestion works. Someone was injured on the, I think, Civil War battlefield. I think it was the Confederate side, and this guy... He had, like, his whole side ripped open on his stomach side. And he was like, alright, I'll fix you up. But then his stomach was exposed. So he was like, I'm going to stick a tube in there. And basically, he fed the guy some food, and then we'll pull it out. And see, like, this shit changed.
Do we have a child here that has extremely good suck?
Ugh. That's you to cataract surgery.
That's like
back
some
in, like, the
medic from Team
ancient
Fortress
days.
2 levels of like mad science. Just, yes, I know you're bleeding out, but allow me to test the digestive system.
That is how they did it then. They
Eat this ration.
They had to figure it out.
It's not even a ration. You just get hardtack and salt pork
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
weevils.
You get soup.
Weevils.
And the delicacy.
Okay.
You get whatever we had left in the pantry soup.
To let you know
Hardtack.
how much either
The rat
side,
off the floor.
how much either side just loved hardtack. Some of the nicknames were sheet iron biscuit, tooth dullars,
Tooth dollars. Okay.
and I think in some camps they had a shit ton of hardtack that nobody was eating because duh. So they'd use them for like sidewalk. They would pave roads with them.
That's just how terrible hardtack was.
Yeah, and referencing that, there is accounts of a joke Confederate soldiers would make. Is, hey, I bit into something soft in my hardtack. And what was it? Oh, a nail.
Hardtack was...
Wasn't it just flour and water?
Flour, water, maybe a little bit of salt, put it in the oven. 18 hours, pull it back out, flip it over, another 18 hours. And then after that's done, you let it cool off and bake it 2 more times.
How long does it take to spoil?
Never. It doesn't.
That's the
it
point.
doesn't? That's the point.
That's why it's so shit.
It's a rock.
The water is no longer present.
It's technically, and I mean very technically, energy.
It's basically a clump of flour.
It's sheetrock made out of flour.
Yeah. It's like slate.
It's really bad.
You could carve a dagger out of it better than you could eat it.
Yeah.
A shiv, not a dagger.
Once you actually like crumbled it up, you could just use it as flour again. So you could crumble it up, throw some water in there again, put it on the griddle, and make a really gross pancake.
Fun. I had pancake this lunch. I was going to say this morning, but I ate it for lunch.
Because it was like 12 in the afternoon.
Well, I did have breakfast, but I have my yesterday's breakfast as today's lunch.
Uh-huh.
Sure, whatever you say, man.
Anyway, when did people start eviscerating each other at high speeds?
Let's see, the invention of the revolver. Fuck.
This is after all the lovely flintlock shit.
I think revolvers were either invented or heavily popularized after the fall of the Alamo in 1847 or 1846. Sometime after the fall of the Alamo, Samuel Colt invented or popularized, I can't remember right now. He popularized the revolving handgun. And the first one to come out was the 1857-47 Colt Walker. It was friggin' enormous. It weighed like 5 pounds.
Oh my god. It's still technically carryable.
Cowboys would, use that because it was the 1850s and it was the Wild West. Imagine having to draw that at high rate of speed. This muscle right here to do nothing but point at high rate of speed. God.
And
Ow.
then when you fire it, it's just...
Imagine
One
accidentally
hopes
going to
that-
shake someone's hand and you just break their wrist.
Pretty much.
One hopes that it doesn't hit fire when it fires the first time. Because if that happens, I think your wrist is just going to snap.
Ooh.
Oh my god, just the...
Yeah.
It's actually not that bad.
I don't know the mechanisms of that, and if it's possible to hit fire that. But I've seen people hit fire guns.
Well,
It's pretty shit.
if you keep a nipple on it, you cock it, and you just kind of leave it resting there, if you hit the hammer hard enough, it will go off, which is a problem.
Where it would fire, and then, you know, hip fire being that it would snap back and use the force of the previous shot to fire again.
No, it cannot do that. Once the hammer comes down, it's locked in place.
That's good.
But what it can do, which is similar, is if you don't grease the front of the face of the cylinder while it's loaded, you can fire it. And then some sparks created between the gap of the cylinder and the beginning of the barrel can light others. And those can go off, and it can cause a chain fire, and then you have about these 3 fingers gone.
Ow.
Your thumb, index, and middle finger are usually missing by the end of that.
Fun.
You know, the ones you need to fight with a gun.
Yeah, and the ones that are directly in the way. That is a problem for continuing general life.
When's the last time you grabbed something specifically with your ring and pinky finger?
I mean, and I'm really short, so if I need to grab something on the fridge, I'll go like, eh.
You'll grab it with whatever one reaches.
Yeah. Evolving from the 47 Walker. Well, before that, there were a bunch of single-shot pistols.
Oh?
Like, single-shot... I don't know if they had matchlock pistols. I haven't seen any. They had plenty of flintlock and plenty of caplock pistols.
Right.
And those were all side locks. They were like... They could range in size and type and length.
And quote-unquote accuracy.
They were actually pretty accurate. But
depending on
some of the Derringers that you would just hold in like your coat pocket, they were point and shoot instead of aim and shoot.
Yeah.
You know, the average accurate distance was probably across a poker table. And after that, it started to go,
which is all they used it for anyway.
Or yeah, or
when the cone of, you know, the cone of, what do you call it? The firing cone.
The danger zone.
Yeah, is like this, then I think there's a problem out of the barrel.
Yeah. Gotta fix that rifling. Oh, I can't remember.
Precision rifling and precision firing didn't exist at the time. No one even thought that was a theory.
Of course they did. You had the 1873 Sharps. You had any Sharps rifle. Those are actually some of the better. What action? What lock is it?
What?
No.
What do you do with it?
Flintlock's old.
Flintlock is old, and then it was superseded by Caplock, which uses percussion caps. I think Sharps was a cartridge rifle. It was one of the first. Or not one of the first. It was one of the better ones. You had plenty of cartridges before. You had, basically had people that were inventing the cartridges back in the 1850s when people were still using caps. But since, guy was basically a time traveler, so everybody thought his idea was stupid. And then when his idea happened 40 years later and he was dead, everyone looked back like, huh, we should have listened to him.
Yeah. We liked his
artists.
idea.
We like his idea now, but we thought he was stupid 30 years ago.
Why have something better when you can have something worse?
British Navy!
God.
Why have something better when you can have something worse?
No. Yeah.
No, what have you done?
No, the audio.
The audio was peaked like 3 times.
I saw it, just the whole bar go red, and I didn't even know that was possible.
God, I hate the British Navy. Every new technology that was upcoming and promising, they were like, but we have older stuff that works worse that we already have.
But we have stuff that we already know.
Napoleon's quote on the steamship. Why light a bonfire under the deck and sail against the tides with no whatever the fuck, the sail? He thought it was stupid, so he didn't adopt it. And then when everyone else got steamships, the British Navy was like, ah!
Blasphemy!
We need this
God
now!
will surely strike them down. And then when he didn't, they were like, fuck.
And then when they actually got good and they were stuck with a bunch of friggin' sail ships.
Sailboats.
British people.
Gabe, do you know anything about the short time where gun swords actually existed?
Gun swords?
Yes.
Elaborate. Do you mean like a gun that's a sword or a sword that's a gun? Because I can talk about bayonets, or I can talk about how rich people back in the 14th and 15th and 16th and 17th century would want a sword, but they would also want a gun. So they'd combine the two.
As opposed to attaching a sword to your gun, as in bayonet, how about attaching a gun to your sword?
Alright, so a bunch of rich people wanted an in-between. So you had a sword, you had the grip, you had a barrel.
An emphasis on only rich people using these because they were so unbelievably impractical.
No, it's not impractical, they're expensive.
They were expensive, and you also had this huge piece of metal on the front of the gun that was really inconvenient to trying to aim and fire with it.
Yeah, it seems like that one, I think it was used by the Spetsnaz during the Soviet era, where they had a knife that was also a single shot gun. Mm-hmm. And to fire it, you had to point the knife at your face. Well, you don't want to get a good cheek weld on it. You hold it in front of you, kind of aim down the sights, and if it kicks really hard or your grip's bad, it sinks directly into your cheek.
Oh my god, that was so... it's great in media to see all these, like, writers doing all this stuff, but this gun sword is so fucking useless.
Gun sword is stupid. Bayonets are fine, even if they are outdated by modern standards.
Bayonet, you don't have more ammo, you have a spear.
Alright, so,
It's...
in terms of bayonets, you have one that go on top of the barrel, which are really kind of stupid. You have some that go on the bottom of the barrel, which are totally reasonable. Back in the 17th century, you had single shots, you got one that plugged the barrel.
Oh.
So you just have a spear and a knife sticking out of your barrel of the gun.
I mean, a spear's real easy to use, so from, like, a actual combat standpoint, it's pretty smart to put a knife on the gun.
It was called a plug bayonet. And since it was only single shot, you didn't really have to worry about loading another anything. Mm-hmm. And exploding your gun or shooting the bayonet out of your gun at high rate of speed. So if you were out of ammo and you didn't have time, or if you shot your shot and didn't really have time to reload and fire another shot, you take the plug bayonet and run very fast at the other people.
And just kind of hope.
And just kind of hope.
In God's hands now.
I could talk for so long about the things that people did in God's name.
The Crusades.
The burning of so much knowledge.
I think I think the burning of the Library of Alexandria was actually an accident.
Yeehaw.
It might have been. I am not completely.
I am unsure. I remember reading up on it a long time ago and being very angry at the fact that we lost so much ancient knowledge.
No, it was a very common thing for this, but the Huns in the German area, and then the Vikings, they would just take over a more civilized country, burn it to the ground, leave, and then they have to restart. So then they go and burn someone else's because it's just like continuously. Technology is scary. We can't have it. If I can't have it, you can't have it.
As is typical of.
So this is where the idea of this is pre-Dark Ages. I'm pretty sure.
And this is why all of
this
our
could be Dark Ages.
Technology advancements
Dark
go
Ages.
into defending ourselves first, and then it trickles down into the cell phone, radio music and stuff like that, radio stations, as opposed to being able to communicate with the other troops.
Back in the fucking Dark Ages, when we're making the transition from slate tablets to paper, there's a record of a principal saying, "What if the students don't know how to properly clean a slab and sharpen their chalk?" And it's proof that anyone and everyone will bitch about new technology from the beginning of time until the end.
Yes.
It's gonna happen.
The paper is so flimsy.
This is back in Jesus' time, like 2,000 years ago.
Jesus of Nazareth was alive when people were complaining about paper.
Yeah, people in Egypt had paper, and then they started to trickle its way over into Jerusalem. And then, or not actually, it's not actually from Jerusalem, but it's just, I don't know, wherever. People were bitching about it, because it was new and bad.
Yeah.
Back in those days, if it was new and it wasn't good, boy, were you screwed.
Speaking about that topic, were people ever bitching about guns?
Not to my knowledge.
It's funny.
I willfully ignore. I willfully ignore any bad will centered towards firearms.
Well, depending on the firearm.
Firearms are cool, I agree. It's just they kill people very fast.
People got pretty pissed off at the
imagine-
U.S. for shotguns.
Just the Germans, they were mad because they
were
didn't
losing.
have them. Yeah, they were mad because they were losing. Mad because
Yeah.
bad.
Skill issue.
Skill issue. You can't say skill issue to the German front.
Oh my god, I'm lightheaded.
I ran across the trenches, going through no man's land. My buddies got shot. I jump into the enemy trench,
Boom.
do a 360, pop an entire shell into a German's head, and just said poggers.
Puggers. Teabag German soldier violently.
Kaiser Wilhelm watched in shock and awe as I teabagged one of his own soldiers
And typed in chat skill issue.
and then left the game.
Doo-doo.
Jesus.
Hitler was in the background. He was in spectator mode watching. He's like, this can't happen again.
God damn it. What a goddamn failure.
The second World Esports Tournament. Germany versus
No,
US.
no, God.
I'll see myself out. This bit's gone far enough.
The
Anyway.
second esports tournament, World War II.
Yeah.
New team member Adolf.
Italy has switched sides once more.
Call of Duty Dunkirk.
Italy has resigned.
Switch teams.
We had to balance. We had to balance the teams out, so we threw Italy on the one side.
God,
Help
anyone that
Germany
had
out.
Italy at the time would just had this enormous burden.
God, I could have a whole topic conversation just about Italy's incompetence.
Fascist Italy was a total sack of crap.
It was dumb.
Benito Mussolini got what he deserved, but besides that, oh god, fascist Italy was run awfully. Probably because fascism.
Well, fascismo.
Was Mussolini like put into place, or did he like rise to power somehow?
He was
Similar,
elected.
yeah, similar story to Hitler, where presented a bunch of good ideas, then went butt fucking insane.
As soon as he got in the role.
As soon as he got power, he was like, yes, I have political power. I'm going to do something totally whack-ass and bullshit, and then everyone will hate me for the next million years.
I need someone to blame. Religion. Jews.
It's their fault.
He just looked at some, Jewish guy doing the reception. He's like, I don't know, what should I do?
I don't know. Blame the Jews like everyone else.
Well, I don't know any fucking stereotypical Jewish names. I don't know enough Jewish people to say anything about
I
it.
don't know.
The only thing that came to mind was Ezekiel, but that's Amish people.
Okay.
Anyway, should we get back to the topic here?
Discuss guns, but not Jews.
Anyway, shotguns and cartridge stuff, I think.
So, would you like to move into the modern era to skip all of the bullshit between 1790 and, 1870?
I would love to. Gun swords are stupid and shotguns are bullshit.
Great, thanks. That is the entirety of my knowledge. Past 1870, I don't fucking know. Cartridges, autoloaders, fucking...
What about the gun that goes ping?
The M1 Garand.
That's
Under
40s.
military classification, it is a battle rifle, not an assault rifle.
What's the difference?
Assault rifle uses a smaller caliber. 223 is sub-rifle, and I think the M1 Garand used 3.06, which is a full rifle caliber.
which is, but yeah, I've never heard someone refer to it as an assault rifle.
It is not.
Yeah, but
It's a battle rifle.
it's definitely not an assault rifle.
I-
The bar.
Alright, Joe. You know nothing about guns. What caliber do you think the bar shoots? It is a fully automatic rifle issued in World War One?
2.
No, didn't it have use in World War One?
No, that's all Lewis gun stuff. That's all the big old Lewis gun.
Well, that's on the British side. I thought the Americans had the bar for World War
No.
One.
What's a caliber?
How wide it is, or how long it is.
Bar was the light machine gun that we used in World War II.
Ah, you're right.
The Browning was the heavy machine.
Well, the Bar is Browning automatic rifle.
No, I'm talking about like the 50 cal.
Oh, the Browning 50. And you also had the
That's the heavy machine.
Browning.
So, like, a caliber, what would that... Is that, like, millimeters? Or
That's like your 44.
What case?
That's a caliber.
How big?
case?
I
This is
think
a
fully
rifle.
automatic.
Full auto.
Fully automatic.
30-06.
So
It's 30-06. It's this long.
it's fully automatic. The same type that the Grand uses.
And thing is, it didn't
Or
have a
rifle.
semi-auto option. You either had full auto or fuller auto.
Full auto or barf bullets. Just
I think the designations were walking fire and fully automatic fire.
They might have had, what do you call that? Where it's not, it's only 3 in a row. I don't know if they had
I had
that
it
on.
until you said it.
What do they call that?
It's
a firing mode.
3-round burst.
There you go. I don't know if they had that on the
No,
bar.
they did not. You had two options. It was a select fire where you got to select which full you get. You select which version of full auto you get.
I heard you like full auto, so we put more full in your auto.
Yo, dog, I heard you like full auto, so we put some full auto on your full auto firearm.
Oh, that reminds me of like things that fire unbelievably fast, like the A10 Warthog, where it's just a single
Jesus
sound.
Christ.
That's actually what it sounds like.
That's it.
If everybody at home looks that up, that's actually what it sounds like.
So Israel has one of the best missile defense systems just on the planet right now.
Iron Dome, yeah.
One of the C-Rams. I can't remember if it's every 5th or every 50th round that's a tracer, but it's just a beam. It is just what looks like a solid beam of bullets going towards whatever it is.
That is, I believe they have a 90% missile clearance system. Basically, if any missile attacks, it immediately locks on it. 90% chance of it destroying that missile, which is the best in the world.
Israel's missile defense is admirable.
It's insane. It's like, where did this come from?
Now, forgive me for not knowing world events. Why do they have such a powerful missile defense system?
Every single neighboring country that they are next to despises them.
Okay.
All right.
Iran, Iraq,
If I had
Saudi
a-
Arabia.
If I had a list of countries that either did not acknowledge or did not enjoy Israel, it would be 2 feet long.
Israel, that's because Israel
Oh, right.
is
I
religious.
some of it's coming back now. A lot of people, I remember a lot of countries not recognizing Israel.
It's
And
Israel
that
was kind of
recognizing
made.
Israel was a big deal.
Israel, because it was Israel and Palestine, the two sides, basically was split by religion. Israel was Jewish.
It was also split by us kind of picking people up and putting them places.
And then Palestine was...
Then territory disputes.
I think they were Islamic. I think they're Islamic. They might be Muslim.
I can't remember if it's Saudi Arabia or Israel, where they have a division of Muslim faith that is divided into Sunni and Shia, or Shia, and Sunni, or Sunni, or Sun, whatever the fuck. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it's Sunni or something like
I
that.
think I recognize that in Israel.
I think it's in Israel.
Because that sounds... I'm pretty sure that is an ancient Israel thing. But during the... there was a war that happened during the Cold War that was basically Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Iran, Saudi Arabia, all against Israel. And Israel kicked their asses.
Oh my god.
Israel pushed Egypt out of, the Sinai Peninsula? The little peninsula that's next to Israel that Egypt has over the Suez. They completely kicked them out of that. Israel completely kicked them out of that, pushed them across the Suez, and then just started going for Syria's ass. And they agreed to stop the war, and Israel wanted to go back to original borders. I think they got one territory out of it.
Speaking of small countries that have strangely potent military ability, Afghanistan in history. So, during the British invasion of the Middle East and Afghanistan, this was in the mid-17th century when they were still using flintlock technology. So, during this, brain hurty, Afghans would manage to kill British soldiers, they would take their rifle, modify it, make the barrel longer so it was more accurate, and then once they got many of those sniper rifles that were very long and very accurate,
You just put up air quotes.
British people got fucked. It was bad.
Afghanistan is just one big mousetrap, so...
It is. Afghanistan is a mousetrap. It's a
there's
spike trap.
There's a lot of, like... how to say it? I don't know if there's, like, a term for it, but like you guys said, a lot of, like, trap countries, where if you go in, you don't come out. Don't take that in the wrong context.
Traps. It's all Poland.
And it's... That's it.
Concentration of traps.
I think it...
Northern
was it
European area.
Sweden that also has their entire country, basically?
It's Switzerland.
Why does...
Switzerland.
They
Sweden.
have an S at the
Switzerland.
beginning of their name.
Sweden. Switzerland.
I'm an American. I'm ignorant. Calm down.
I'm ignorant.
It all has to do with terrain. Switzerland is all mountainous. Afghanistan is all mountainous. And I'm going to put this in here. The Philippines and Vietnam, jungle. It's all terrain.
It was
Terrain is one of the most fucked up parts of any war.
Oh my god,
And
Vietnam.
if you get stuck in a war with bad terrain and you're new to that terrain,
You're fucked.
You're gonna lose. That's how it is.
just going to lose.
It's when the terrain is in the extremes that homeland advantage really comes into play.
Eisenhower,
You're playing the home team.
Yeah, home team advantage. Let's go.
the supreme commander of Allied forces in World War II, in Europe, Eisenhower, he eventually became President Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
He was quoted saying that wars are not won with battles; it's won with logistics, and mountainous terrain, jungles.
Mm-hmm.
You can't supply your troops easily with that stuff, especially with those British soldiers that you were referencing. They're just out there. They're just expedition. Have fun, live off the land. You have a certain amount of food. Get back to the ship before you explode.
Get back to the ship before you, I don't know, die of scurvy or Afghan rebellion.
Come back, maybe.
Speaking of really good troops and stuff like that, I can't remember when this was, but I remember hearing a whole thing about how Italy's forces kind of sucked a lot in a lot of the war.
Italian mini tanks, awful, just garbage.
I remember Italian, like, basically everything war-related really sucked, except for this, like, team of trench runners that would just go in and stab people.
In World War One,
in trenches.
when they were on the Allied side, the Italians were pretty good. Because they actually, they were up against Austria-Hungary, so I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing to be boastful about.
I want to read up on World War One more. It seems interesting, even if tragic.
Mm-hmm. It is very just... Oh my god.
World War One was a clusterfuck. World War Two was the tragedy because it was genuinely, like, huge evil and malice. Mm-hmm. The World War One was spawned off of two small countries going "fuck you" and "fuck you,"
and then
at each other.
Basically, two guys yelling over a fence, and then one guy hopped the fence and punched him in the nose.
Yeah, it's
like neighbor over next door is like, "Hey, you can't do that."
Yeah, two children like arguing over a fence. Big brother fucking comes out of the house to deck the other one in the face. Fucking dad comes out of the other house with a belt, and then it just escalates from there.
World War One was basically a mob. It was a mob fight.
Mm-hmm.
What's the term?
Thousands of soldiers for less than a square inch of land.
And
less than okay. Every time you reference that, the area of land keeps getting smaller.
Tomorrow it's gonna be a centimeter.
For less than a millimeter.
The number of
land.
soldiers dead keeps getting higher, and the amount of land keeps getting smaller.
Billions of soldiers for atoms of land.
I think the figure was maybe several thousand for, I think it was, I don't know, 2 or 3 meters.
Mm-hmm.
At its worst.
Yeah, it was. And that has to do with they came up with these big guns, these massive guns, machine guns, but they didn't know how to transport them. They didn't have the trucks. They had trucks, but not the ones that could easily carry across mud. So it's like they had all these weapons, but they moved too slowly to be effective with it.
Right, so the strategy was basically just fucking hunker down.
That's why World War II, Germany won, because they were so fast with big guns.
Blitzkrieg.
France didn't. France had big guns, but they didn't move fast.
France also had bright red pants.
France also did.
Well, that was World War One.
Oh yeah, you're right.
France also didn't fucking believe it was being invaded when it first happened.
France believed it. The UK didn't.
Oh right, the UK. Sorry.
UK was in denial.
Churchill was just like, no, you
He
aren't.
argued
Shut the fuck
10
up.
minutes straight with the supreme commander of the French army, arguing, "No, you're not being invaded."
He's just like pointing behind him. Yes, we are, sir. People
They're
are
right
dying.
there. They're on my front door.
On my front lawn.
They have to stop for fuel, and
yeah.
I can't do that. And
And then they could just go to a fucking BP and fuel up.
All I remember is Churchill called Italy like Europe's soft underbelly because of their total lack of defense.
I can talk about it for a full hour and how
siege.
Italy's incompetence was so bad. I'll give a little snippet.
Riveted tanks.
But also I'm going to
Oh,
go
how the
through
Romans fell.
I'm going to go through the series of contributions that Italy did to World War II. All right, at the beginning, before they were at Ethiopia, they won that. Good on them. They got some random territory in the middle of Africa, and all they had were bows and spears against their tanks and machine guns. So good job, Italy. You accomplished that. Next thing they go for,
Completely defenseless area.
they go for Albania. Albania has to submit because of Italy's size, and they wanted control. Next, they go for... where do they go for? Africa. They go for Africa. They have to call in Daddy Germany to fix the solution. While that's happening, they go for Greece. Guess what? They get fucked. They have to call for Daddy Germany to pull in.
comparison to Italy.
They were against farmers. They literally put up posters in Athens saying, "Hey, you want a gun?"
Hey, do you want a firearm?
Professional major power against a few Greek farmers. Who's gonna win? Place your bets. Germany placed all their money on Italy, turned their back, came back. Italy was on fire.
God damn it! What did you goobers do now?
Literally, Greece is like this big in comparison to Italy being like this big. It's just like, how did you lose?
Italy gets pushed back out of Greece into Albania. Germany has to invade 3 other countries to get down to Greece. Just, oh, by the way.
It's like watching your boxer get into a street fight and lose against a 13-year-old rail-thin, like, newsboy. Just, oh, god damn it. What are you even doing out there?
Wouldn't you like to know weather?
All the Italians are getting drunk off of their ration wine.
So Germany wins that battle for them, and then Germany turns their back on Italy again while Italy's doing stuff in Africa. Italy's losing Africa. Germany has to go down there until Germany loses Africa.
How did they lose Africa?
Because it's hot as fuck.
Patton.
And climate's weird.
Patton was down there with the American Tank Corps.
Oh,
and we
okay.
kind of...
They're kind of like, no.
We went up against Rommel, and that was a battle of the ages, man. Montgomery, Patton, Rommel.
Africa has gone through some shit.
Patton
Like, holy
scares
cow.
me.
Patton is scary. He was on his road to becoming, Supreme Commander, if not Deputy. But he yelled at a person that was in the sick ward because he was in the sick ward. He's like, he literally, I don't know if he slapped him or if he punched the guy. He was in a hospital, and some guy was in the hospital, and Patton, at this point, Patton was pretty, like, losing it a little, because they were kind of iffy in the war for a little bit, so he's seeing some shit. But he slaps the guy, and he's like, get back on the front. Turns out the guy was indeed very not capable of going to the front.
Legs were gone. Actually, in a wheelchair, comes up to him, slaps him with might of God, and just says, "Get back on that field."
He was since demoted and lost the rank of general.
I can imagine
he
what
was a lieutenant general.
Wasn't Patton? I can't remember exactly who Patton was. It feels vaguely familiar. I remember watching
have
some
him in
documentaries about World War II and having Patton mentioned.
I have him as a background if I can find. He looks like the American. That's Patton.
Oh, okay.
This is Montgomery. British American.
British.
Montgomery was a lad, man. Did I tell you? Oh, this is very off topic. We're slowly derailing.
It was supposed to be guns.
Well, guns.
Quick, mention a gun.
I mean, guns going to war.
That is true. I was going to mention the Sicilian campaign, which was the UK wanted to go up from, now that we have Africa, they want to go up through Italy instead of do a D-Day. but we got stuck, so we did D-Day and Italy at the same time. But we launched some Americans up into Sicily along with the British. Hang on, I have to pull up Paint.
Oh God!
Microsoft
I'm
Paint.
gonna ask you to summarize this.
I've shown you this, Gabe, but basically, I'm not going to, make this a big thing. And by the way, guys that are listening, it's literally just going to be fucking triangle. Okay, so this is Sicily.
Yes, line.
That's Sicily, right?
Sure.
And then this is the boot of Italy.
Sure, whatever you say, man.
And then the British land right here. We land over here. The British are gonna go for this key strategic position in between. That's like the vital position, the position. But they get stuck on the way there, going up. What we do, Patton is leading this, by the way. Our job is to secure the rest of the island. So we go over here, easily take this in the time that they get halfway there. And then Patton's like, wait a minute. And then takes it from the British.
We did your job for you, you don't you crumpet munching idiots.
Go home and drink your tea. Such a lowball insult in comparison to crumpet munching. Well, we're American. We're legally required to hate the British.
We have to shit on the British every time we can.
Yeah, we have to. It's just how it is.
As pure-blooded Americans, we feel a patriotic need to shit on Great Britain.
Mm-hmm. And then we keep pushing up Italy after a while. We keep getting stuck. After D-Day, we invade the under part of France. They were so unprepared. This just shows the frantic panic that was in Germany's eyes when D-Day happened. When we landed on the south of France, which was owned by Germany, there was no one there. No Germans for miles. We landed and there was a French guy with champagne giving it out to the American soldiers. Thank God.
Just welcome. As you can see, the
fought them all off myself.
Normandy happens. It was bloodbath. It was bad. It was awful. We land in southern France, and this is
all right.
I guess we're here.
Where are all the Germans, Normandy?
Time to enjoy Rome, I guess.
All roads lead to Rome, but this is unexpected.
The Romans did so many things right.
The Romans did so many things right, and then they fell, and now we have Italy.
Well, today's Italy is
perfectly okay, even if Rome is slowly going underwater. Or
fine.
Sicily.
Oh, you're thinking of Venice.
Fuck.
Yeah, Venice.
But they have locks to control the water.
For the most part, it's still
for
pretty.
The most part.
It's still pretty.
The
damn
Pope
wet.
is in Rome, or not Rome? No,
the Pope is
close.
in the Vatican City.
It's right next to Rome.
Yeah.
It's practically inside of Rome.
Might as well just call it Rome. Yeah. Just call it Rome, guys.
Yeah, well,
the Pope.
It's on country.
Anyway, back to firearm-related things.
You got
what
guns?
were some of the most interesting modern innovations that we can think of, if any?
I would
Just
say
to sort of
gas.
How modern? Modern era or modern the last 20 years?
Let's go with last 20 years.
3D printing. Being able to print your own frame receiver from nothing.
Yeah.
It is very interesting. It makes ghost guns. And
why don't we
Which is
teach
pretty
electronic literacy in school? Holy shit. This is a very side tangent, but I swear if I see one more person yell at the remote controller, I'm gonna have an actual aneurysm.
Where did we get this?
He said 3D printing and that you could basically build whatever you want, like a radio receiver, and that set something off in me. Because I know that the average American doesn't understand how their remote control goes to the TV.
Don't go average American. Go average American over 50. I don't know how technology works. I want my incandescent bulbs back in my racism.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, all of the average Americans over 50 currently run our country. So you can tell why I'm a bit
Shut. Let's stop the politics. Alarms blaring. Let's go back to the neutral side. Let's not.
Oops, guns.
I'd say gas.
Guns itself are a pretty political topic. Let's ignore that whole side of it.
At least modern guns are.
Nah, it has been for about a quintillion years.
What? How do you gas chamber firing? Is that the term that they
like
use?
a gas system, like
because I feel like that's a pretty modern idea. Using
having the gas chamber so it acts on the bullet.
Yeah, it's the gas from the previous bullet.
Every time I hear gas chamber, my mind reflects back to 70 years ago.
We were on the topic of World War II. We're no longer on that topic.
Yes, I see this now. Anyways, the way it works is it uses some of the pressure of the ammunition to go back and cycle the action to bring back another bullet, cartridge, casing, whatever.
And then that's why you can just boom, 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 boom.
And it will do that over and over again. And that is a gas-operated piston. And a lot of the pistols you have that kind of fit in your pocket are direct blowback. So the system is... You got your gun, your magazine, you got the slide. So whenever you fire a bullet, let me think.
It's just recoil.
It uses the momentum it gets from actually exploding the bullet. That compresses a spring, and that spring will go back, cock the hammer back, and then it will come back forward. It will pull up another round, and then you can fire again.
Oh, that's cool. I actually didn't know that it used the momentum from the previous bullet. I thought it was just magic.
Yeah, there's just it was just magic.
Yeah, you don't have to slide it every time you want to shoot it.
I've got 52 rounds in this 8-round magazine.
God, I love that Gus.
I bet that's completely misquoted.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. I have seen it.
He is using a shotgun too, so it's even funnier.
Every pan to him, he ejects yet another shell, if not many. It's like a water gun. The more you pump it, the better it works.
He's like tying a shoe.
Yeah, my favorite one is Alakablam.
Yeah, and when he does that, like the flash is way bigger than the rest. Alakablam. Boof. Speaking of strangely large muzzle flashes, the Obrez pistol.
Oh no.
You don't know what that is? The Obrez pistol is a cut down, just full size rifle. The most common one is the Mosin Nagant.
Oh.
It is cut down to be a pistol. It'll look a bit like a sawn-off shotgun. The Mosin uses 7.62 by 54R. It's a big-ass cartridge. It is a 5-inch cartridge coming out of a maybe not 4-inch barrel, but a very short barrel. It's a bolt-action pistol, basically.
It reminds me of the anti-tank rifles that they used in World War I.
Anti-tank hand cannon.
Yeah, no, they were just rifles that just had bigger,
That's the evolution of what Gabe was talking about.
I got the chance to shoot a Mosin Nagant thanks to a very friendly wartime firearms collector. 7.62 by 54R is very angry. It makes your shoulder hurt. So doing that from nothing but your wrist, or no, your left hand, because you have to cycle the bolt with your right.
No, I hate that.
Ah, my hand!
Just your bone just
sticking straight up. Just alright.
Yeah. Or maybe you could... Okay, maybe the best...
yes, I see you've learned gun safety. No, I haven't. My wrist is broken.
Maybe the best way to do it is to... Because it still has a little bit of a stock under it. You can hold it by that, cycle the action, and hold it a bit like that.
Yeah, that's a little bit nicer for my brain.
It's still stupid.
Yeah, well...
It's still stupid and garbage and makes a muzzle flash the size of you.
Surely they won't know where we are.
Just the gun goes by.
You just see a bright light in the distance.
Imagine
it's like a lightning strike.
3D printing a gun that shoots an absolutely just whack round size.
Whack.
Well,
I don't know how else to describe it. And then it's just one use. You fire it and it just explodes in your hand.
There actually is a fully 3D printed pistol called the Modern Liberator. You can 3D print it out of nothing but polymer, and it's a single-shot, 22 long rifle pistol.
Single shot.
It's basically what the use of the original Liberator was they just dropped them by the crate load in areas that were occupied by the enemy, so that people that got them could pick them up, shoot a Nazi or whatever, and take their gun instead because they were bad.
So yeah, single shot as in the gun basically disassembled itself.
It does not disassemble itself. It's just you can't reload it.
Oh, okay.
And
it's all solid.
it's basically only made to be shot once because anything after that and things start to wear out past the point of the warranty.
Quote unquote.
This became a big security issue, like national security issue, because it doesn't go off in metal detectors. So.
Oh, because it's polymer.
Yeah.
It's plastic.
It became a big for national security, especially post 9/11.
Ooh, yeah.
Because, you'd be able to just carry it in your suitcase and no one would know.
I forgot about that implication.
I forget how they fixed that, or if they have fixed that. I don't know if they have.
They just look through all your shit now.
Well, yeehaw.
Thanks, TSA.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't look at the
That's
package
another.
that has bad dragon.
Ooh, we're getting close. Woo! Gotta
Dial
be careful.
back.
Woo!
Politics alarm.
We're getting close.
Can we get like a Target Easy button?
No.
Stop it!
It's so easy to take bites out of politics.
It is. We get close, and I have to bring it back.
Why can't we have Swiss politics where just everything is fine and happy, or maybe Finnish? Finland is okay too. People will still complain, but it's not as bad.
When their biggest complaints are foreign people complaining about their president partying when they were 20, I feel like that's a sign of a good nation. Over here, it's
our president actually lived a life.
Over here, it's like, the president, committed 60 scandals and has, thousands of millions of dollars torn out. This is old politics.
Dial it back.
I have to show you Harding. I have to show you Harding's presidents.
History tends to repeat itself. Dial it back.
During the 20s.
Dial it back.
1920s.
Man, there's still people alive from the 1920s.
The 1920s, we had Harding. President Harding, who was at, out of how many presidents we've had? This is our 46th. He's at, 45 on the presidency scale. He was fine, but, 4 of his main cabinet members had all scandals. When I say that they got millions of dollars out of government funding, I mean hundreds of millions of dollars.
God.
They slowly got out because this is during Prohibition. So the Justice Department, the head of justice, the Attorney General, was the most corrupt man. He would take the money he would take money from funding. He would personally pocket it. He would take the beer that he would get from Prohibition, confiscation. He would sell that. And he would just rack in millions of dollars.
It's a racket, basically.
Luckily, quote unquote, luckily, Harding never saw any of this come to tuition because he died.
Oh.
He passed away. So he never got to see all this unfold. But it was bad. What were we talking about?
Oh, right, guns. Anyway.
Guns.
Gabe, I have a question for you. With your vast knowledge of firearms...
I wouldn't call it vast. I'd call it mediocre at best.
With your enthusiasm with firearms...
That's better.
Where do you think they're going to go next, or where would you like them to go next?
Lasers!
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I just didn't want to phrase it as lasers.
I want rail guns, or I want laser guns.
Just magnetic guns or lights. Oh my god.
Or I want us to go back to the styling of the late 18th and early 19th
you want a
century.
musket.
I'm going to buy a musket with my next paycheck.
Okay. The unfortunate part with that is that I'm pretty sure the U.S. just stopped. I think it was last year they stopped their railgun funding. So we're no longer looking into a railgun.
But there are private companies investigating handheld railguns. Or not railguns. What's the other one? What's the other one that's not a railgun?
Lasers.
No, that is very similar to a railgun.
Lasers are actually illegal.
You
can't use lasers.
At least not the high-powered ones that can...
No, you can't use any laser.
Oh.
Because if you blind the enemy, that's against the Geneva Convention.
Then again, when have we cared about war crimes?
That was for last week's podcast.
Yeah, that was.
When we were allowed to put comments on politics.
Last week was a shit show.
Yep.
Can we just get like a train whistle that one of us can just deafen everyone in the room with
It's like
whenever we
a
get too deep?
Soviet Womble's racist bell. He has to ring that like every episode.
There's a racist bell.
Well, now I have to show you that after this episode. He has a bell on his desk that he has to ring, and everyone in ZF, Zero Fucks Clan, everyone in ZF is like a minority, except for him. He's white, but everyone in there is like, you have Germans, you have you have Indians, you have all these people, and like every episode he has to ring the racist bell.
Racist bell, but for politics.
Because our interests get really close to modern politics.
War.
Well, because it's all
Guns.
like history and technology.
Yeah.
Modern technology. It all delves very close and has a close tie in relation to current day politics.
Yeah. But anyways, as I was saying, the lasers are against the Geneva Convention. Railguns aren't.
Well, because it's just a gun, but instead of using something that explodes, it uses magnets.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the thing that interests me in railguns, for technology's sake, is just the research into how we can use magnetism for more benefits. I'm wheezing.
Well, we haven't done that. Japan's done that with the Magnum train.
Right, they
did that without having to invent a gun first.
Right.
Americans.
But magnetism has a lot more uses than just guns. For example,
America.
nuclear fusion,
Uh-oh.
which is so much cooler. I'm getting off topic, and we gotta wrap up soon. It's
an hour.
It's the coolest technology, guys. Just trust me. Just look it up. It's so cool. Do you remember Doc Ock from Spider-Man? Yeah, that.
You got nuclear fusion, and you've also got nuclear fission. It depends.
Fission's the bad one.
Fission explodes. Anyways,
I mean,
it's an
fusion
hour.
can too, but just less bad than fission.
We have hit the time limit and have gone over by a little bit.
Oh, that's fine.
Hour, a minute, and 8 seconds. Let's see about this. We have just completely stopped the conversation. I was kind of hoping we could come to a fluid end, but I guess not. This has been 3 men in a trench coat, even if it has come to a bit of an abrupt stop.
Both me and Joe are just looking at him like, you got this.
You know, the more you mention it, the more awkward it gets.
I was trying to avoid that. Whatever.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Stop! Shut up! I'm trying to end this. This has been 3 Men in a Trench Coat, the podcast, where it has been Chris, Joe, and yours truly. Bye.
Ah! Bye. Quick, peek the mic.